Title: Their successful daughter lost everything while I built my empire. I can still hear the crystal glasses clinking at my sister Madison's promotion party. The sound echoes in my memory like a bitter reminder of that night. The night that changed everything. The elite of Boston's financial world had gathered in the grand ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton, all to celebrate Madison Blake, the youngest VP in Sterling Financial's history. It stood in the corner wearing a dress I designed myself, watching my parents beam with pride as Madison commanded the room. At 32, she was their crowning achievement. Harvard Business School graduate, rising star in finance, and now vice president of mergers and acquisitions. Elena. My mother's voice cut through my thoughts as she appeared beside me, champagne flute in hand. At least fix your hair. Everyone here is a potential investor. I resisted the urge to touch the dark curls I'd carefully styled. My hair is fine, Mom. Fine isn't good enough in this world, she sighed, smoothing her own perfectly quad-silver hair. Look at your sister. She understands presentation, networking. At least one daughter made it. The words stung even though I'd heard variations of them for years. Ever since I'd turned down apposition at a prestigious consulting firm to start my own business, I'd been the family disappointment. Never mind that my online fashion platform was growing steadily. In their world, if you couldn't see the corner office, success didn't exist. Ellie. Madison's voice carried across the room as she approached, her Louboutins clicking against the marble floor. Come meet Richard Sterling. He's interested in hearing about your little website. I forced a smile as she dragged me toward a distinguished-looking man in his 60s. Richard Sterling owned half of Boston's financial district, including the building where Madison now had her corner office. So he said, peering at me over his glasses. Madison tells me you run some sort of fashion blog. Actually, I started Stitch and Style. It's a technology platform that connects independent designers with— Oh, how fun, he interrupted, already looking past me for someone more important. A hobby business. Well, keep at it. Not everyone can be as driven as your sister. Madison's laugh tinkled like the crystal glasses. Ellie likes to do her own thing, but enough about that. Did you hear about the Maxwell merger? I excused myself and headed for the bar, needing something stronger than champagne. The bartender had just handed me a gin and tonic when I overheard two men in suits talking nearby. The numbers on the Maxwell deal seemed too good to be true, one muttered. Everything about Sterling's Golden Girl seems too good to be true, the other replied. But who's going to question success? I filed the conversation away along with the dozens of other whispers I'd been collecting over the past year. Something about Madison's meteoric rise didn't add up, but nobody wanted to look too closely at a winning streak. My phone buzzed. A notification from my company's analytics dashboard. Another spike in user engagement. While Madison worked in her glass tower, moving imaginary millions around, I was building something real. Not that my family would ever understand that. Still checking your Instagram likes. Madison appeared beside me, her smile sharp. You should really think about getting a real job, Ellie. I could put in a word at Sterling. I have a real job, I replied evenly. In fact, we just closed our series of funding round. Her perfectly shaped eyebrows rose slightly. Oh, someone actually invested in your little project. Several someones. We raised $12 million. For a moment, her mask slipped. Something dark flashed across her face before the smile returned. How sweet. Well, don't let it go to your head. The tech bubble always bursts eventually. She sauntered away to rejoin her admirers, but not before I caught a glimpse of something else in her expression. Fear. It was gone so quickly. I might have imagined it, but it made me think of all those whispers, all those numbers that seemed too good to be true. Later that night, in my downtown loft that doubled as Stitch and Style's office, I opened my laptop and began digging. Madison had always been driven, but lately her success had taken on a frantic edge. The Maxwell mergers she'd orchestrated had made headlines for its unprecedented returns. Every deal she touched turned to gold, almost as if a knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. When I opened it, I found an envelope on the floor. No Zender, no markings. Inside was a USB drive and a note. Your sister isn't as golden as she seems. If you want the truth, look at the attached files. I stared at the drive for a long time before plugging it in. Years of working in tech had taught me about security risks. But something told me this was important. As files filled my screen, spreadsheets, emails, bank statements, my hands began to shake. The perfect daughter. The family success story was nothing but a carefully constructed lie, and I was holding proof that would bring it all crashing down. My phone rang, making me jump. It was Madison. "I hope you're not planning to do anything stupid with the information you just received," she said without preamble. My blood ran cold. "How did you?" "I have eyes everywhere, little sister. Remember that. Now delete those files and forget about them. Focus on your cute little fashion website and stay out of my business." She hung up before I could respond. I sat in the darkness of my loft, staring at my screen, where evidence of her fraud glowed accusingly. She thought she could intimidate me just like she always had. She thought I was still the quiet sister who played it safe. But she had no idea what I'd been building in the shadows while she basked in her false spotlight. She had no idea that I'd been preparing for this moment, gathering my own resources, building my own empire. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I'd been saving for a special occasion. "Ms. Jang, this is Eleanor Blake. I believe we need to talk about Sterling Financial and my sister, Ms. Deng, one of the most ruthless corporate raiders in the business, had been following my company's progress with interest. She'd offered to back me in any venture I chose. I'd been waiting for the right opportunity. I was wondering when you'd call," she said. "I assume you've seen the evidence?" "Yes, and I know exactly what to do with it." As I hung up, I looked at the photo on my desk. Our family at Madison's college graduation, everyone beaming at her while I stood in the background. That dynamic was about to change, but not in the way anyone expected. Madison thought she was the only one who knew how to play the game. She was wrong. While she'd been building her house of cards, I'd been laying a foundation of steel and concrete. And when her empire of lies crumpled, I would be there to pick up the pieces for pennies on the dollar. The morning after receiving the USB drive, I walked into my company's real office. Not the loft where I had started, but the entire 10th floor of a downtown high-rise. Employees looked up from their desks as I passed, each one a reminder of what I'd built while my family was busy dismissing me. "Morning, Miss Blake." My assistant Thomas handed me a coffee. "Ms. Jang called twice already, and there's something else. Sterling Financial stock dropped 15% in pre-market trading." I paused mid-sip. "Any news about why?" "Rumors about irregularities in their recent merger deals. Nothing concrete yet, but the market's nervous." I nodded, hiding my smile. The wheels were already in motion. My office overlooked the financial district with a perfect view of Sterling Financial's gleaming headquarters where Madison held court. But while her view came from borrowed power, mine was built on something real. Stitch and Style had revolutionized the fashion industry, connecting independent designers directly with manufacturers and consumers. We weren't just a platform. We were changing how the industry worked. "Thomas," I called out, "set up a meeting with our legal team and get me everything you can find about Sterling Financial's holdings, especially any distressed assets they might need to offload quickly." He raised an eyebrow but didn't question me. That's why I had hired him. He understood discretion. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Have you seen the news about Sterling? Your sister needs family support right now. Not whatever scheme you're plotting." I deleted it without responding. Of course, she assumed I was plotting something. In her mind, I was always the jealous sister, never the successful one. The evidence on the USB drive had revealed the ugly truth behind Madison's perfect facade. She'd been cooking the books for years, inflating profits, hiding losses, and paying off auditors. The Maxwell merger that had made her famous built on fraudulent valuations and insider trading. But I wasn't interested in exposing her, not yet. I had bigger plans. "Ms. Blake." Thomas appeared in my doorway. "Your sister is here." Madison stormed in, her designer suit slightly wrinkled, a detail that spoke volumes about her state of mind. "What did you do?" she hissed, throwing a financial report on my desk. "Our stock is in free fall." I leaned back in my chair, studying her. The perfect mask was cracking. "I haven't done anything, Madison, but it seems the market is finally asking questions about those amazing returns of yours. Don't play innocent. Someone's been feeding information to our shareholders. Trading patterns show massive shorts being placed last week right after you got that USB drive." I smiled. "Sounds like you have a leak. Maybe you should focus on that instead of accusing your unsuccessful sister. Listen carefully." She leaned across my desk, her voice low and dangerous. "If you try to destroy what I've built, I'll make sure everyone knows about your own creative accounting." My laugh caught her off guard. My accounting? Please go ahead. Audit every penny. Unlike you, I actually built something real. Real? She scoffed. You sell dresses on the internet. No, I created a technology that's revolutionizing an entire industry. But you'd know that if you or